good looking? What you got cooking? Today we are going to make a mayonnaise cake. I thought since you guys are all far away and I'm here in Tennessee baking by myself that I would come up with a way to have you bake with me. And you can learn how to make some food in the process. Today we're going to make a mayonnaise cake, which if you don't know what that is, that's just a different kind of chocolate cake. And because there's a special holiday coming up pretty soon, Valentine's Day, we're going to be using a heart-shaped pan. So the first thing that's very important when you're baking is to be sure you have all of your ingredients together. That makes everything go much more smoothly. So we have all of our ingredients here. We have all of our measuring utensils that will help us bake this cake in great time. The first thing you have to do is preheat the oven. So for this recipe, we're going to preheat it to 350 degrees. This is part of the recipe that you'll need to have an adult help you with. So I'm going to just choose 350 and let it start heating up. While it's heating up, we are going to mix our ingredients together. So our first ingredient is going to be 1 cup of sugar. So I have my sugar here, and I'm going to take my 1 cup measuring scoop and just measure out 1 cup. Sometimes you have to pour it. I don't have very much sugar left, so I'm going to have to just pour it in here. And you want to make sure that your measuring scoop is pretty level. Can you see how that's level? That's really important to get an accurate measure. So you just dump it in the bowl. And then our next ingredient is going to be 5 tablespoons of cocoa. And the tablespoon on your measuring spoons is the big one, but it'll say 1 T on here, and it'll be a capital T. That's how you know it's a tablespoon. So we're going to measure out 5. And again, you need to make sure they're level. And what I do to make sure it's level is just take a big scoop and then just scrape it on the side to make it flat. So there's 1, 2, 3, we're getting close, 4, and 5. Okay. Something I usually do when I have measuring spoons, if they're dirty, I'll go ahead and just put them right inside the measuring cup. That makes cleaning up a lot easier. Okay, and then we're going to just whisk these two things together. This is called a whisk. And I'll show you, we just kind of mix them together so that the sugar and the cocoa mix up. You don't have to mix it very well because we'll mix it again later. This is just to start out. Okay, so if you have a mixer, if your moms have one of these electric mixers, this is a good thing for you to use in making this cake. You'll want to ask an adult to help you with that. And if you don't, you'll just use a really big bowl to mix all your ingredients with. But I have a mixer, so I'm going to just dump my sugar and cocoa right inside. Okay, and then I'm going to go on to mixing the next part of my ingredients. And in this case, the next ingredient is 1 cup of mayonnaise, which sounds like kind of a funny ingredient for a cake, but it's really good. Okay. So you're just going to scoop out 1 cup, and I'm using what's called a spatula. It's kind of a flat spoon. It's a really handy kitchen tool. I'm sure your moms have those. Okay, so we're doing 1 cup of mayonnaise. Almost there. Okay. So can you see how I'm kind of making it level and smooth on top? That's so I'm sure we have exactly 1 cup. So I'm going to just dump all of this into the sugar mixture. And I'm using a spatula because you can kind of see how it bends around the corners to get everything out of the measuring cup. That makes it really handy. Okay. So the next thing I'm going to do is walk over here to the sink to rinse off my spatula. But also, the next ingredient in this recipe is 1 cup of hot water. So my water is hot. This is another part you might want to have an adult help you with because the water needs to be hot and I wouldn't want you to burn yourself on the water. So you're just going to dump it right in top of the sugar and the mayonnaise. And then, let's see, we'll put the lid back on this. Our next ingredient is baking soda, and that's 2 teaspoons. There's baking soda and baking powder, and baking soda is almost always going to be in this orange box, and this is probably the kind that your moms get too, so you probably have some of this at your house already. So I need 2 teaspoons. So on my measuring spoons, this is the one that has the 1 and the lowercase t. That's 1 teaspoon. So we're going to do 2 teaspoons, and just we'll dump it right in there. And then our last ingredient for this batch is vanilla, and that's in this tiny little bottle. Vanilla smells really good when you smell it, but if you would taste it by itself, it doesn't taste very good. You would go, ugh. So we just need 1 teaspoon, and dump that right in. Okay. Now I'm going to put my little mixing paddle on here. If you're using a big bowl and you're going to stir it up yourself, this is all you would stir this part together right now. So I'm going to stir this for just a couple minutes, and then we will add our next ingredient. Okay, I think our sugar mixture is just about ready. Kind of looks like black soup. So we're going to turn this off, and we're going to add our final ingredient. What we need to do is take our flour container. We need 2 cups of flour. So I'm going to take my 1 cup measuring scoop and scoop out 1 cup. Sometimes I bang it on the side just a little bit softly to be sure that it's flat. I'm going to take a bigger spatula and kind of level that off. Okay, and then I'm going to just dump it in this bowl just to keep my measurements straight. Okay, so then my 2nd cup. I'm going to level that off a little bit. Okay. Alright, so there's my 2 cups of flour. The oven's ready! We've reached 350 degrees already. You might notice that on my oven it says 325. That's because I have a kind of oven called a convection oven that cooks differently, but your ovens might say 350 instead of 325. Okay, so what we're going to do now is very carefully just put our flour into this mixture. You want to do it really slowly because otherwise it'll kind of make a big mess all over the place. So just very gently push it into the sugar chocolate mixture. And then I'm going to turn my mixer back on. If you're doing yours in a big bowl, you'll just start stirring very slowly. Okay, so it'll take just a few minutes and this will be ready.